Hello, my name is Destiny Shekinah, and I am known as the Manifestation Queen, and this is the Manifestation Queen podcast. This is where I guide you to receive more by doing less, and where reality bends to meet your frequency. So today we're doing a little solo podcast about me and just sharing a few things to really get to know each other a little bit more and to connect and to share my story. So let's see, what should we talk about? I really wanted to just connect deeper and to share what led me here and a bit of my experience, and really open up about things I've never really shared before. So what led me here has been an interesting journey. I've always been very fascinated with manifestation and the law of attraction. And essentially, I started out with a few books, and then a modern day Buddhism practice that my grandmother introduced me to, which really opened my eyes to what was possible in this realm of possibilities, and really began a foundational path that I just became really fascinated with and just continued to unravel in so many ways. So after accomplishing what I set out to, what I was intentional about receiving when I discovered that modern day Buddhism, what we were doing, we're like chanting to our mirror, to our reflection, on what we wanted to receive. And so when I received the modeling gig that I set out to accomplish, like within a month, I realized like, okay, this is something real and I could really do something with this. So that led me to a few books, very, very simple books. If I can remember the name of the book, it was like, what was it? I think it was like, gosh, I will link it below, but it's a very simple book, maybe like 50 pages. And I remember giving it to my psychology teacher in high school because I wanted her to read it to the entire class because it was so profound for me. But what it essentially said was, when you set out to give to others, even in the midst of the unknown, like, it was about a gardener, and he was kind of traveling to do a favor for his father to go meet his uncle, and he only had, I think, like $20 in his pocket. And when he arrived, I think the uncle or whoever it was that he was meeting really needed the $20, asked him for the $20, and he was like, well, I don't know, how I'm going to travel back home without this money. And there was a lot of the unknown thing that he was trying to navigate and to really step into that relaxed knowing, which actually led him to an overflow of abundance and really paved a way that he couldn't have even imagined for him. So I'll link that book below in case you guys want to read it. But that was really something that opened my eyes tremendously, even though it was super simple. And so I kind of took that and ran with it. And then, let's see, after that, there was just a incident. There was a ton of incidents. I think it's called the bridge of incidents is what I like to call it. And they all just continued to lead me into really getting unconditional about the relaxed knowing that I fully wanted to embody. Because I think that oftentimes we can get really in our head about certain things. And that's really what happened with me. Like, when I was placed in these situations that I had no idea on what the outcome would be, I realized if you can get into that relaxed knowing, one, like, the panic and the overanalyzation and the self-doubt isn't serving you in any way. So it'll almost like lead you to like a downward spiral. So like, we don't want that, right? But also getting into that relaxed knowing can really bring so much abundance and infinite possibilities that you couldn't really logically analyze anyways. So that's a bit about my journey, and it continuously unravels, right? Like, the thing is, it's never ending and it's infinite. So we're continuously having these experiences, these interactions, and really it's just one big life of opportunity to become more unconditional in our joy, in our life, in our prosperity, and in our abundance. So the more we can relax in that knowing, the more we can be surprised with exceedingly abundant expectations and just daily miracles. So, and that's what we're created with. And that's really what the basis of my work is. Another thing that really stuck with me and that I built this business on has been the Marianne Williamson quote. Let's see if we can pull it up. It's our deepest fear. So let me just pull it up so I don't butcher it. And it says, "Who are you not to be brilliant, talented, gorgeous, and fabulous? And our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do, and we are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone, and we let our own light shine. We unconsciously give other people permission to do the same." So that has been a really impactful quote to me too, where I just had that basis of, am I shrinking in this moment or am I being amplified? And so that has been a really great indicator for me to navigate through life. And any time that I've been either asked to shrink or to feel like I've had to shrink, it's been a great indicator where I have been able to check in with myself, take inventory, and to really realize, like, okay, is this shrinking me or is this amplifying my life? And so that's really what I built this business on, because I do believe that when we play small, we can come up with a ton of resistant symptoms that I've experienced to from living like in that state of misalignment to really experience these physical symptoms that arose from being out of alignment. And that really has been great contrast for me, for my business, for my life, for my relationships, to really put in perspective, like, and really get that precision on the asking of what it is that we desire, which are our life force. Our desires are really that life force that will bring us into that flow state and into that power. So that's a little bit about me. And, you know, I just really think that all of our, like every woman, every person, we have such incredible and unique gifts. And I think that we can turn them down sometimes in fear of being vulnerable or being, you know, misjudged, misunderstood, whatever it is. And it's really just a lack of breath, a lack of whatever it could be worth or however it looks for you. But I've also realized that like suppressing those things can really materialize in our life. So what I have here in my notes are just a few things about really avoiding and suppressing things that want to come up out of us, right? Like suppressing things and avoiding things like will only amplify them. And even me like kind of ignoring these red flags that I was receiving in certain areas of my life, my body just continuously tried to signal me, and I would focus on the good things. I was really meditating. I was really pouring into myself, focusing on my vibration, but my symptoms were arising to where my body was really signaling me at a very clear signal to really rest and to really pay attention to the environment, to what I was choosing in my life and in my relationships. And the more that we can kind of avoid these things or or suppress, like I feel like they just continuously grow. So something for me that I've been really working on in the Shekinah experience, it's our current mastermind that we're working on, a 6-week embodiment, is really just knowing that like once our heart knows something is not for us, there is so much beauty on the other side. And like we can't really step into that unless we walk into the fear of the unknown and until we welcome that unknown. So that's something that I really love to walk my clients through, and to realize that, you know, there's a fine line between excitement and fear, or, you know, just a lot of different emotions, right? Like inspiration or jealousy. Like there's just such a fine line. And once you realize that there's nothing that we can actually put into a box because things are constantly evolving and expanding, and the second we stop trying to like define them and just listen to that guidance system within us, we're just continuously being guided in our favor at all times to where we're meant to go and to really what our destiny essentially is. So, like in our relationships, in our friendships, and I've really realized that these experiences always reflected, whether it was in my business or in my relationship, it always reflected into all of the areas, right? So if I was in a relationship that was out of alignment, it seemed to affect my business and it seemed to affect my inner state. It overflows into all areas. Like they're all connected. So the moment that we can really be that optimal, loving, supportive person for ourselves, it will reflect into all areas. And so I read something today on, it was on Instagram. I think it was Carnivore Aurelius. I love his page. And it was, when a fish gets sick, you don't medicate the fish, you clean the tank. And it's just time to really look around at our environment, and to clean up the environment, right? So instead of like pushing all these things outside of us to be a fix all, cure all, whatever it is that we're trying to see solutions in, it's really important to look around at the environment and see like what we're fueling ourselves with, like what we're consuming, and different environmental factors of like, you know, what is it that we can change? What is it that we have control over that can really amplify and benefit us to our own, you know, benefit? And so, you know, environment, friends, what we're consuming, content, like it's all hand in hand. And like the nervous system obviously is affected. So we do a lot of that in my work also. But yeah, because I know what it feels like to really have that out of alignment nervous system. And like we're always bringing it back to that baseline, you know, because we're human. So it's like we're always experiencing these things. And what I'm really working on now is just really like focusing on what do I feel amplified around? What do I feel supported in, right? Like the action of behind things, of really like how I'm showing up for myself, who's showing up for me, and like what does that look like? What precision of my asking, like what is it that I really desire in these areas? And how can I be that for myself first and foremost? All really reflects into us. And the best thing is that I love is like, there is no definition for this. There's no boxable thing. Like we can continuously expand. And just because you were one way yesterday doesn't mean you can't expand. Like you can outgrow people, you can change, you can shift your beliefs. We have that permission to do and be and have like whatever it is that we desire at all costs. Like, and we get to be in control of that. Like no one else is going to do it for us. And, you know, if we're continuously like waiting on outside forces to change us, like we'll be waiting forever. So I just really think that, you know, you can't box me in. I get to be however it is that I want to be. My brilliance and whatever it looks for me is my thing. Like you can't change that. You can't define it. And yeah, and it's like, we often can put labels on things, right? Like transmuting karma, or, praying for forgiveness. However it looks, I think, like alchemy, right? We can call it alchemizing things. And either way, whatever it is that we want to label it as, it's always unfolding in our favor. So that's something that I really realized recently. It's like all these different traditions or teachings can call it so many different things, but essentially it's all unfolding to our benefit, whether we can realize that immediately or not. Like the answer has always been yes, even if it seemed like a no. So that's something that I've really mastered, is getting into that relaxed knowing, because I know that every moment is a yes, even if it doesn't seem that way. And so that's really been able to help me get into those states that I've been most fearful of, and that I was able to realize, like, okay, this is just excitement without the breath, step into it. And that's been the most rewarding aspects of my life in every area. We're doing wellness retreats, which have been like one of my biggest fears was public speaking. And a lot of people can't, fathom that, but maybe some of you can. And, it's really been rewarding. The Wellness Day retreat was my first retreat, and I built a stage. I got on stage, we talked, cried. It was pretty, vulnerable, and I don't know. It wasn't ideal, right? Like, I got choked up, I cried, it's fine. Like, we had a beautiful day. But if you're a public speaking coach, I don't know what you would have graded me on that speech. But like, we always are continuously growing and expanding and evolving. And until we get into that arena, we won't be a player in that game, So I just really love bringing women and people into this space, into doing what really they feel called to do, but they just don't know how to navigate it. They don't know how to approach it. And oftentimes it can lead to avoidance. So I've been there and I know it all too well. So yeah, I know there's some questions. I don't know if we want to go into some questions or what we should do. Yeah, let's do some questions. Okay. So I talked a little bit about what brought me to the spiritual journey. And, it continuously evolves. So it wasn't just a one-time thing. And it was probably, off the top of my head, a few different pieces of my life that really brought me close to this. But I like to view it as, again, refraining from that avoidance and just meeting yourself at the depth of where you're being called to go. So if that's pain, if it's suffering, like whatever it is, it's like moving through those emotions and meeting yourself in that depth, because I believe that's true intimacy. And that's when you really get to meet yourself and see who you really are. And once you know who you are, like I said, no one can box you in, and you're not affected by those who try to misunderstand you or who try to judge you, because you know yourself at that deep soul's core level. So that's essentially what led me here, is just meeting myself in those depths and really getting to know myself at the depths of my soul in a nice, casual way of saying it. And the next question, let's see. How do you stay in your feminine while being a go-getter? Let's see. That's a great one. Yeah, I just think that really being in that relaxed knowing that I've worked so hard to get to. And again, it doesn't have to be hard work. Like, it's all perspective. Like, it could be easy. It could be fun. I also really, really love Abraham Hicks's teaching, is really like how you feel is what you get. So yes, we get to meet ourselves in those depths of our soul, but also having fun and doing what feels good to you, like, why go through things that you really don't feel like doing? And that really helps me stay in my feminine, because I think I am so relaxed in a lot of areas because I know that things are always working in my favor, that I don't have to really analyze and logically come up with solutions every time. I just kind of deal with things as they're brought to my attention, as they're handed to me or happening right in front of my eyes. And if it's not happening in that moment, like, I just don't deal with it. So that's been a really big thing for me, is like, we can go down that rabbit hole of like what could happen or should have happened or anything like that. But I think being in your feminine is just being in that relaxed state and knowing like, hey, it's all good. It's all going to be fine. And not trying to fix or prove or explain is always really beneficial for me, because it doesn't change anything, right? Like, the more we explain something or try to prove something, like, I don't know how much it could actually help you in your favor unless, whatever. But I just think that like people will have their perspective, and as long as you focus on your own and what's being handed to you in front of you, like, mind your business and focus on the business that pays you. That's my advice on that. I don't know if that's feminine or not, but like, I just think that it's like, why analyze and try to control other people? I think that's very masculine, is like trying to come up with systems and come up with action and like prove and force. And, I just feel like sitting back in that, this is my business. This is what I have to handle. This is what's mine. And just relaxing in that, not trying to change or fix anyone. And still doing what feels aligned for you, however that looks. So if I have like a busy schedule that day, like, I don't have any guilt in really taking that extra time to meditate, to have quiet time, to just sit in the sun. Like, there's no guilt involved in what feels good for you and what can really support you, if that's how it feels. And sometimes people want to go and hustle and do other things, like that fuels them and resets them too. So it's really like being true and honest with yourself of like what can support you in these situations, and how it works best for you. So do you see your spirituality more as faith-based with God or more energy universe-based? So I would say that I pray to God. I pray to Jesus, actually. And so I consider myself a non-dogmatic Christian. And I resonate with Jesus and my prayers. I just resonate with that. I don't know if that has been because of my upbringing, or if that is just in my biological makeup. I don't really know the answer to that, but I do know that it feels really powerful and really true to me. And it brings me comfort. It brings me relaxation. Like, I can rest in that. And so I do know that God is an energy. Like, I believe that we are co-creating with the energy. Like, we were created in an energy. The quality of the word, right? Like, what is the scripture? Like, he said, first there was the word, right? So that's typically a quality, and it could probably have an energy to it. So I do believe that we are co-creating with an energy, and I believe that energy to be God. So, and I think that's the infinite, loving, supportive, gracious energy that's always in our favor. And so I think it can go hand in hand. I think it's not very different from one another, is what I believe. And I think that I like to use the term like king of the universe. I believe God created the universe. And so the universe is essentially the same thing. And I believe that we all have the power within us, like God lives in our hearts. So we have that to access at every moment. And we can always constantly reach for that infinite love and infinite abundance and support and grace at all times. And we can really co-create with that energy at all times. So that's what I believe.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was God.
Yes, that's the scripture. And so I think that word, right, it had a quality to it that was like kind of the energy that really created that spark of light. I don't know, maybe we can fact check that, but I think that's really what created life, right? Like that spark. So, believe that there's qualities of energy always at play. So that really comes into the contrast of the things that appear, that we typically, that are undesirable, right? So it's like that energy behind the thing that happens that you do not like is what either resonates with you or what doesn't resonate with you. So it's all a quality of energy that's constantly unfolding. And then we get to decide, like, okay, is this what I want or is this not what I want? It gives us that preference, that choice, that decision, the contrast to really get precise with what it is that we do want, right? Because sometimes people could want something. We all have different preferences. So I believe that energetic quality behind everything is energy, and it's all created by God. So yeah, it's all hand in hand. And I think that, again, it's all just leading us to that path of our destiny at all times. It's just when we can really get clear and like be still with it to really have that, to really decide like what it is that we want, what it is that we desire, because those desires were placed in our heart by God. And so just because you have that desire alone means that it's yours and that it's already happened, that you've already received it. So they have been placed there by God. And so we're constantly just being led to those to become that unity with that perfect love that we all crave and that we all have been born into. So we're all worthy of receiving it just because we exist. That's my belief on that in short form. And did you always imagine yourself being in the role you are now? What a good question. Kelsey, thank you. Let's see. No, I don't think I could have imagined it. And again, it brings me to one of my favorite scriptures, Ephesians 3:20, exceedingly abundantly above all. Like, just when we're creating with this infinite energy, like there is no way of really coming up with these outcomes. I think it really surpasses that expectation. Like that's what miracles are, So no, I don't think I would have seen myself in this position. And maybe I did. I don't know. I guess back then, like if I was in that place, no, the answer would be no. Because, it was really challenging, like the things that I went through. And I mean, I had to really rebuild my confidence a ton, and I still do continuously, like even public speaking. And I think a lot of things come into play for that factor. So yeah, I just think that we are completely, exceedingly abundantly above all being impressed and surprised by the outcomes all the time, and continuously to do so. So yeah, I don't think I did see myself in this role. And now I just really take so much pride and so much gratitude and appreciation to really help be that version that I needed back then for other women, because I think it could have saved me a lot of suffering, and a lot of time, probably a lot of different things, to just have that support and that community and that connection that really helps us bring us up to the standard or to the quality or to the, the place that we really desire to be. So, yeah. I love all your nods, Ben. You're like, yeah.
No, these are good. I like it. I'm a fan. I'm loving your life, but also just your motto, how you feel, the way you manifest things, but also the way you look at life. It's beautiful. I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right.
Thank you, Ben.
She's real. She's here. So it's important. So
thank you, Ben. The best podcast producer. And really, we're like doing this off the top of our head. So I'm just kind of like going with the flow here, guys. And I think that's all the questions that I had. But yeah, I just think too that like a lot of times we get stuck in really fixing and healing. And I think at the same time, I think that God created us uniquely by design, perfect by design. And I just think that we can get so caught up on focusing on the healing or what's broken or what needs to be fixed. And as that can work in our favor sometimes, right? Like, I just think showing that grace and stepping into that grace and knowing that we always have grace, you know, whether we're perfect or not, like, I believe we're all perfect in our imperfections. But I think that sometimes we can't always see that. So knowing that there is nothing really broken or forgotten, like, we don't have to change or have shame or have guilt, you know, based on our past and based on like where we once were. Like, we get to expand and we get to go upwards and we get to do the things that we want to do, and like nothing makes us unworthy of that. So that's something important that I've really been focusing on a lot, because I love the meditation space. I love the biohacking space. I love wellness and, you know, longevity, whatever you want to call it, and meditation, energy work. So I think oftentimes we can like think that we just need to continuously seek outside of ourselves for these solutions. And I think that they're all within us, you know, and like we get to have fun with it. So I think that is the best thing, is like we get to rest in that love. We get to rest in that fun place. We get to have fun. It gets to be fun and really create from that space. And also we can alchemize, we can transmute the energy. Like, we can always switch it to something that's beneficial for us because it's what it is, right? Like, we're just bringing it back to that natural state of really what it is and what it's here to do. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And so, you know, if you guys have any questions, my DMs are always open. I have some links below for you guys on the things that we discussed. And I am just so grateful to have you all here. So I hope you enjoy this episode and all the future episodes to come. We have some incredible guests coming on, and I'm so excited to be on this next chapter with you. So thank you.